Just months after a stroke and a mastectomy nearly killed her, Bette Davis learned her own daughter had written a book calling her a monster. She never spoke to her again. Bette Davis was one of the most respected and feared actresses in Hollywood history. A two-time Oscar winner, known for her ferocious work ethic and total lack of patience for anyone who wasted her time. She raised her children largely on her own through 4 marriages, and her only biological daughter, Barbara, known to the family as BD, grew up surrounded by mansions, private tutors, and constant exposure to her mother's fame. In 1983, Davis was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent a mastectomy. Within weeks of the surgery, she suffered a series of strokes that left the left side of her face and arm partially paralyzed and slurred her speech for the rest of her life. She fought through a long, grueling recovery, determined to keep working. Around this same period, her relationship with BD had already begun to fracture as her daughter became a born-again Christian and pushed Davis to follow the same path. Then, in May of 1985, timed to arrive in stores just before Mother's Day, BD published a memoir called My Mother's Keeper. In it, she described Davis as a domineering, alcoholic bully and accused her of manipulative behavior toward her own children. The book arrived only a year after a strikingly similar memoir by Joan Crawford's daughter had already rocked Hollywood. And critics quickly drew the comparison between the two supposedly monstrous mothers. Davis was devastated. According to her longtime personal assistant, the betrayal left her so humiliated that she said she no longer wanted to live. She was especially wounded by passages referencing her other daughter, Margot, who had lived in an institution since childhood following brain damage at birth, and whom Davis felt had been exploited in the book for shock value. The relationship between mother and daughter never recovered. When Davis published her own memoir 2 years later, she closed it with a direct, furious letter addressed to BD, accusing her of a stunning lack of loyalty. When Davis died in 1989, her will explicitly and intentionally excluded BD and her grandsons entirely, leaving her estate instead to her adopted son and her assistant. Bette Davis spent her career playing some of cinema's most complicated, difficult women. In the end, her most painful role wasn't written by any studio. It was written by her own daughter, in a book she never asked to read.